Today is December 7th, 2021. This is the Village of Hannah City Council meeting. Please stand in for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. Brian, you may be seated. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. I did hold the moment of silence a little longer than usual this evening. Just as a reminder, today is December 7th. Marks 80 years of Pearl Harbor. So we lost a lot of men and women that day. So I wanted to give a little extra time. So I apologize. Christy's stealing one of my good pens.
No guess.
No guess? Okay. That's okay. So before we start the meeting, I will say we do have a quorum of the official elected members that are in person. We have an in-person quorum of the current elected or
just holding office.
Upholding office. Thank you, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody should have a copy of the November 16th meeting minutes in front of you. Take a moment, look at those if you haven't done so already. Thanks to somebody sending them out. I read them twice, correct?
Oh. Oh, you need to.
Michael, do we even need to approve the minutes? We should still do a roll call.
Yeah, because we have. I think everything should be roll call because we have one remote.
So, do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from November 16, 2021?
So second.
Motion by Sidak, second by Pearson. Any further discussion or comments? Roll call it. Sidak?
Yes.
Pearson?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Motion carries. Everybody should have a copy of the treasurer's report in front of them. So if they see anything that's wrong, she's here, you can pick on her.
You're going to see that payroll this last time has a little bit of extra overtime. That's because Midwest Century is digging, and there's been a lot of call outs. You're also going to see this on the next board for this past weekend. All guys were called out, so everyone's going to have a little extra overtime. Lori got her paid leave paid out. She is now termed from all systems except for IMRF, and that will be as soon as I get the minutes. You're going to see all the warrants that need paid this time, and then there is another list of warrants that were paid out of board due to due date being sooner to board, and you'll also see expense checks given back because we have 7 days per the handbook from the time that the expenses are given.
So for the first meeting of the month, it's basically payroll, all invoices that were either paid or need to be paid from the last meeting.
Make a motion to approve the treasurer's report and pay all outstanding debts.
Second.
I have a motion by Pearson and a second by Sidak. Any further questions? Any comments? Comments, I know that Jim and the guys, they've had to deal with a couple things. A couple water lines were hit, or one water line was hit. We had a sewer line that was hit. So they've been Johnny on the spot working with the contractors to make sure those things were taken care of and gotten taken care of. So they've been doing a really good job.
Do we know who Matthew Ricketts is?
I've heard the name just on the Hannah City page.
So we've got, I guess, coming on.
So I got a motion and a second. I'll go ahead and do the roll call. So roll call would be Pearson,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Sidak.
Yes.
Motion carries. Matthew, can you hear us?
Yep.
Okay. Could you state your address for us and purpose of the meeting?
12710 West Farmington Road. We're new.
Okay.
Welcome.
Welcome very much. Normally we don't get new attendees coming in and watching the meetings, but that's why we have them. Make sure the the village is informed. So if you have any questions, let us know. You can send a message to. Can they message through that too?
Yep.
Yeah, you can message the Village of Hannah City on the app too if you have a question, or you can do the little hand raise thing if you have a question on something.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you. So we'll move down to the engineer's report. Mr. Brandon?
I don't have anything formal to report. Feel bad I wasn't.
You brought me pens. Now don't take my pens.
I like you.
I don't have anything to report in. I don't know, Brian, if you have anything for me. I just wanted to, I may be out of town the next meeting, so I wanted to make sure I had an opportunity to come and say thank you. I know we haven't done as much, Brian, with your presence. My role has diminished, and that's a good thing. With you here, I see myself more as a project or major project type thing, and the smaller issues that sometimes we dealt with more have been done in house. So, but it doesn't change the fact that I'm grateful for the opportunity to come here or listen in every other Tuesday night. So I just wanted to come say thank you. Wish you all happy holidays. If there are any questions, I'm happy to stick around or whatever.
We do have some stuff coming up. With,
and I'm happy to sit.
for some discussion that might be your expertise might be helpful, especially with Caleb not being able to be here.
Happy to do so.
Okay.
That's my report. Just thank you and happy holidays.
Well, we hope you can make it on the 21st. We're gonna invite all the employees.
Awesome.
And also try to have something here just so as we have the board meeting, the employees can also partake in something with the board members. So, and then maybe have just a little fellowship after the meeting or something, just so people can get to know each other a little bit. So
Fantastic.
Make sure to invite
my
Bill.
world's upside down. If I'm in town,
yeah.
I'll make it.
If you can make it, that'd be great.
So Michael, attorney's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Only a couple things that came from my office since the last meeting. One of those is a resolution just to appoint our treasurer as our authorized IMRF agent. But first, we have to appoint our treasurer tonight, and then we could appoint her as IMRF agent. The other thing that came out of my office, and I think it still needs a little bit of work and maybe discussed tonight, is a sewer ordinance, just amending the public works section of the village code, just to clarify a couple things and make it codified, consistent with current village practices. But I don't believe it's being voted on tonight, but discussion might be held, and that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you, Michael.
Quick question, do we have to swear in?
Mhm.
We decided,
Yeah,
okay,
I think we should.
Yes,
Okay.
we will be.
Okay.
We'll do that under committee reports.
got it.
So, Mr. Administrator?
Okay, so in your packet, there is a one-page administrator's report. I'm not going to cover everything on here, I'll just the highlights. I did want you to know that EMS now has a new parent company, the manufacturing company, the robotics manufacturing company. So that has happened, as we've discussed previously. We've been in discussions with them about expansion of their existing building. We've sent them information on how to do that and the process for doing that, and also the setbacks and a variety of things. We've also talked to them about the property purchase, and the beginning part of that being filling out the TIF developmental or developer form and information that they would send in to us that we would then look at to make decisions about what kind of TIF dollars we could make available to them. And we've also been talking about with the new building, they're also eligible for what's called PREZ, Peoria Rural Economic Zone, and that makes them not have to pay payroll tax, or have to pay a sales tax on any building materials should they put up when they put up the new building. We're also working now with 3 different vendors looking at a new public works building, because if we sell that property, we're going to need a new public works building out at the lagoon. And so the team has already looked at spaces and things out there, and we're getting quotes on what a new building out there might look like. So I think at this point, I'm kind of in limbo. We've given them all the information we need. That's been moved into the new parent company so that they have it, and I'm waiting to hear from them in terms of whatever questions or what next steps might be. So I think all that looks promising. It's going to mean that we've got some additional work to do, but should that happen, I think that's going to be a real good thing for the village of Hannah City.
Yeah, cool.
The other good news is fiber has come to town. We've done over 100 Julies, so they're drilling and boring everywhere. I put on here that we had 2 issues. We've actually had 3. We had we had a service that wasn't on any of our information. I think it was right across the road here, so it's probably from where there was expected a house to be, but a house wasn't, and so they hit that, and we fixed that. We had somebody over the weekend, Friday night. I got a text like at 9:30, something like that. Somebody had water coming up in their yard, and they were out of water and so forth. But the guys got there real early the next day and got that all fixed. And that's what she was talking about, them being called out that overtime to cover that. And then they had a sewer line, I think, over on Lake Shore today. I don't think it was a huge amount of damage, but we're going to have them work with a subcontractor to get that fixed because Jim's pretty busy on some other things. So, but all in all, that's going well. We did have, I'll let you talk about it, but what they do is, so if people ask you, and we did put this online, but when they take the holes and they fill them with rock at this point, because eventually if there's any other issues, it's easier to pull that back out and then replace it. But eventually it'll be backfilled with dirt. And I've heard people online say they put it back better than they originally found it in other places. But I think there are some residents who are a little nervous that they're not going to get it back to where it was. We had Aaron, but one of the foremen from Mid-Century called me today, and they had to call Peoria County out today. A resident was upset that they were putting rock back in, and he tried to explain to them that they would be replacing dirt eventually, and it got pretty escalated, so they had to call Peoria County out, and Peoria County talked to the resident on the issue and let them know that not to be dealing with it. It's it's the utility right away. It's not really their property, and things seem to settle down. Then I talked with the foreman for probably 30 minutes and said, yeah, we're aware that, you will be filling these back in with dirt and everything. Then I informed Brian just so that we would have it notified. Mid-Century was they were worried about it, that, we were causing problems. The contractors were causing problems. And I said, no, your contractors are doing their jobs. I said, you don't worry about that. I said, if you have problems like that, you said, that's what you do. You call us, we'll take care of it. Don't hesitate calling Peoria County if you have an incident where, you guys are threatened or something. So
they've been moving pretty quick. They were down at my house first thing this morning. Because I think I was one of the starting places down there. I think they're on track to finish this week. I think that was their goal, was to finish by the end of this week. And I haven't heard anything that would suggest that they're not going to.
Great.
Now, who knows what will happen, but I think they're supposed
to do that.
Yeah, okay.
And like I said, they'll be coming back later to kind of repair everything once everything's all pulled together, and we'll make sure of that. But so if you hear any noise about that, make sure you're spreading the word. On Rails to Trails, I think we have all of the information in to get the grant money. I sent a follow-up note today saying, hey, is there anything else you need from us? I've not heard back. So I think they have everything that they need. And we have also engaged, and we've got this later in the agenda, a separate attorney. I told you about Elias McGinnis and Seghetti is going to be the company that's helping us with this process. Basically, again, as a reminder, we get the grant money. We have to have a purchase agreement with the railroad, and then we have to put the structure in place that would ultimately govern how things go moving forward. So we're progressing on all of that, and that's good news. Let's see. Org structure and roles and responsibilities. So kind of gone through and kind of created a presentation to update everybody's high-level roles and responsibilities. I'm going to be meeting with each of the staff tomorrow to kind of walk through what everybody's going to do individually and make sure we're all on the same page. And then on the 16th, we have a staff meeting. I'm going to go over that with all the staff so everybody kind of knows, okay, who's doing what within the team. And then on the 21st, I'm going to be sharing that with this group, and the staff will be here so everybody can meet everybody and kind of have a good understanding of everybody's new roles and responsibilities and which board member would they work with on which things. So been real good transition so far. Excited about everything everybody's doing. We're also going to start building a master calendar. We're trying to put in writing something that you guys would have access to, that we would all have access to. What are the major things that happen throughout the year? And then each of the individual areas are putting their information together as well, so that we'd have one place that we could look at and know, okay, this month budget's due, or tax levies due, or we do the MFT program, or whatever it is, we want to have it documented so that there's one place that we can all look at that. So we're going to begin the process of working on that. And then also we've Tracy's kind of taken over communications, and she's doing a really good job of proactively communicating. But she created a Village of Hannah City Facebook page, and there's some risk in that, right? Because you can get some negative feedback. But so far, it's been really, really positive. I know some of you are on it. She proactively communicated, hey, they're going to backfill with rock temporarily, and then eventually. So that was out there before it happened. She said when Mid-Century started, they're out there and this is what they're doing. And we got comments like, I live in Farmington. I wish, they were proactively communicating this type of stuff. And maybe they are, I don't know. But this person's perception was that they weren't. And here the water bills are coming. Don't forget to get them paid by such and such date. Roger went out and they put up all the Christmas decorations, and they took pictures, and they put the pictures on there, and all kinds of discussion about who built them. And, I don't know, it's just fun to see some positive energy around the work that's being done and relationship building with the residents. So.
She went to, I think, 122 people, in 3 hours when she built it. I mean,
Great. I think we're at 145 followers right now, and it's been out there just like a week.
So I don't know who it was. Somebody posted on Hannah City Happenings that, hey, like this page.
Oh, yeah.
So that's how I found out.
Yeah, she's doing it.
So, and she's the one thing I'm seeing is that she's proactively looking at how should we redo our permits, and Roger and Jim been talking about GIS and further expanding the technology that we're using for the systems, and Christy's bringing new ideas to the table as well. I've got them lined up. We've already had the auditor in for Christy to meet with and talk with them. We're also doing a job shadowing day with the city of West Peoria. So Tracy's going to go over and meet with them on code management, because she's picked up some of those responsibilities, and Chrissy's going over to meet with their bookkeeper. They use the same system we do with Locus, so there'll be a good learning that we can get there. So we're trying to surround everybody with the tools they need to get up to speed, but so far so good. So
Great.
Yep. That's it for me.
Okay. Thank you, Brian.
Oh, I guess the other thing I would say is, how exciting is it at a town our size just put a brand new restaurant in across the street, We've got the possibility of a manufacturing company expanding and growing and bringing new jobs here. We've got a giant grant coming with the trail that's going to come in. We just put fiber in all across town. I mean, just a lot of really, really good things happening here, and I think that speaks to the foundation that's been laid by the board previously, but also the good work of everybody here.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's a great place to be right now.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Washington. So, and, I go back to Washington today to go see a friend or go meet somebody for coffee or a drink. And then, it's like, wow, this place has really blown up since, I left in the early 90s. Yes, I'm old. So yeah, I hope we can continue our growth here, and maybe, draw more businesses in with the trails coming in. That's an excellent opportunity. If anybody is ever interested, look up the Monon Trail in Indianapolis. It was an abandoned railroad through Indianapolis, and the Monon Trail in the late 90s really picked up, and people were all against it at first, but then people are putting fences up, and what's the first thing they do? They're putting a gate in so they can access it from their backyard. So it's a big investment that the village has done. Fred spearheaded this for
20 years almost.
Yeah. And, it's just, to try to get this to where we're at, we're trying to make those final last jumps. So hopefully this can, help us as far as a village, maybe bring in some new business, bring in some new, employers. That way, you're going to then maybe bring in new residents and maybe new housing and stuff like that. So
I also forgot Park District's looking at putting in a new walking trail back over here. So that's another.
Have you
Lots of really good things going on.
heard from them at all about?
I know. I was in a meeting with David Keithley on another topic, but I kind of told him that we need to get some traction on that because it'd be nice if we could get something started next year.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm done now.
okay, you're done now. Thank you. Okay, so under committee reports. So
Johnson's not here.
So I will take over. Let me see, I gotta word this a certain way, don't I?
Not necessarily. Yeah, it's
Upon my recommendation to appoint Christy Foster as the village treasurer, do I have a motion?
yeah. You just need advice and consent of the council.
Yeah.
So a roll call vote would take care of that. A motion and a second too.
Make a motion.
Motion to appoint Christie as treasurer.
Make a motion to appoint Christie as treasurer.
Second.
I have a motion by Pearson, second by Stydak. Any further discussion? Comments? We'll roll call it. Weaver,
Yes.
Stydak,
Yes.
and Pearson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I was just gonna say she doesn't like fog at.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, can I submit a retraction?
No, too late.
We might want to do the swearing in before
Yes.
the IMRF too.
Yeah.
Hey, you gotta get sworn in.
Ready?
That's you.
All right. Come
Stand
up
up.
here. Hey, meet you in the middle.
We had to do it too, so.
Right up
You can
here.
get used to.
Yep. And just raise your right hand. I, Christina Foster,
I, Christina Foster,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm that I will
or affirm that I will
support the Constitution of the United States
support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of treasurer
the duties of the office of treasurer
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congrats.
And then I'll have you sign that when we're done.
Welcome officially.
Thank you. Talk later about your hesitation.
So the next thing we have before us is a resolution 2021-12-01, a resolution to appoint an IMRF authorized agent for the Village of Hannah City. Basically, this is just to appoint Christy so she can add funds into the retirement as treasurer. And I will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Sidak, second by Pearson. Any further discussion? We'll roll call it. Sidak,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And that is 1201.
Yes, that's resolution. No, yeah. Resolution 2021-1201. And I'll sign mine and get it.
Okay.
But I will. The next thing up talk about is the tax levy ordinance. At our last meeting, we approved the
Technically estimate.
the estimate of our official tax levy. Before you have the actual ordinance, if you need to take a moment to look at this. And we did not have to do any
Truth in taxation.
truth in taxation because we did not raise it more than 5%. Is that on any one item?
I think it's overall. I think the overall estimate, as long as it's not exceeding 5% of the last fiscal year, you don't need that hearing.
What's the ordinance number?
The ordinance number will be 21-12-01.
That one? Okay.
Yeah, because this is an ordinance.
Yeah.
And Michael, just for clarification, this has to be filed.
I believe
Yeah.
so, yeah.
It has to be filed and stamped.
Not recorded, just filed.
It just has a file.
Filed with the county, I
Mhm.
thought, and
By the 12th of December.
by the 12th. Okay.
It's
That
so
sounds
many
right.
days after it.
Yeah, I've got some other stuff I have to take down. I just want to confirm that it has to be, because filing's free,
Correct,
but it doesn't have to be recorded.
No, because it's not, what you would record is for
Yep.
like recording anything against the property.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
Do I need to say that whole title in there? To make the motion.
I will entertain a motion to approve the Village of Hannah City 2021-2022 tax levy ordinance.
So moved.
I have a motion by Pearson, second by Sidak. Any further discussion or concerns? We'll roll call it. Who am I on? Pearson,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Sidak,
Yes.
motion carries.
Denise, you'll get me the sealed copy of that.
Mhm.
Will we be able to just do the front page on that, Michael?
You're saying that needs to be done by the
Which one?
12th.
Yeah, I sent you a Word document
Oh, did
version
you?
of it too.
Okay.
Yeah, this is prepared by Dana and Bill.
Okay.
It's not me, so I wasn't sure how they sent it.
I don't know why the 12th keeps sticking in my head.
I just need to know whether or not I need to do it tomorrow. Or
Right.
can I wait till next week?
Right.
Oh, you know, we're gonna need to change
Or
the
Thursday?
very last page too. I just realized the wrong date is in there.
Why I'm here.
Say what?
All right, meetings all day.
Where it says
Yeah. No, I
passed
would do
by
it
the Board of
Thursday.
Trustees, this has 15th day of December.
Thursday's the day I would
Yep.
plan to do it.
Okay.
Got it to the 7th.
Are you printing that?
I am printing
Okay.
this.
Been a slow ride.
Take it easy, Brian.
You just print the last page.
I have to print the first and last page.
Okay. Was something off on the first page?
Yeah. I just reprint the whole thing just so we have it. And that is it under finance. Sanitary and sewer.
Yes, sir. I have a couple things. First, the level controller on the Chicago Street lift station went out. So we need to replace that. I have a quote here that Jim got for $1,595. We don't necessarily need approved for that tonight because it's an emergency expense.
Well, it's not, it wasn't on the list to vote on. So the question would be, should we ratify it next time, or because it's an emergency? I think we have the ability for like the mayor and the trustee to approve it in a case of an emergency.
When did this come up?
We found out about it yesterday.
Oh, okay. But it needs to be tackled.
Yeah, because if not, the pump doesn't switch over the two pumps.
Oh, okay.
He has to
Yes.
manually go out and switch it over.
I would think this is an exigent circumstance that would call for ratification at the next meeting.
Okay, so we do need to ratify it at the next meeting.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
always safe.
Yeah, so
So
we'll put
if
it
you
on there.
hold on to that. Well, no, give it to me.
Okay.
Because that way I can put it in the packet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as we know exactly what we're voting on tonight and the minutes reflect that.
Well, we're not going to vote on it.
Okay, the level
we're not. Okay.
controller
No, yeah, we're not going
on
to
the
vote on
Chicago
it. We
lift.
went ahead and
Chicago
Oh,
Street
it's already
lift
been paid.
station.
Okay.
yeah, we
No,
went
it
ahead.
hasn't been paid. It's he's ordering it.
Lift
We're
station?
Yeah,
waiting
we haven't
for
paid for it yet. We don't need to vote on it yet.
Okay, or just vote to authorize that expense to be paid if we want
Next meeting.
Yeah,
to pay it. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if we have to get something, we have an expense that needs to be approved, we can.
Yeah.
Right.
Normally we approve the expense before we
Before-
spend it.
Mhm.
But with this case, he's going to order it and we're going to have it spent before the next meeting. So
Okay.
we'll just have to ratify it.
But it'd be like what we typically do with treasurer's reports, where we approve the report and pay
Right.
all outstanding bills. Okay, this would qualify.
Okay.
So it doesn't need to be ratified?
It will at the next
It will
meeting.
at the
Okay.
next meeting.
I'll add it to the agenda on the next meeting, put that in the packet, and then we'll ratify it at the next meeting.
All right.
Okay.
And then the other thing is discussion about the sewer ordinance.
Yeah, so Jim came to me, and this is, Brandon, why I'm glad you're here, but he basically said most municipalities have the lateral line owned by the homeowner from home to main. Is that right? And
Either the main or the right of way.
so ours currently says the property line.
Right. You'll see that.
And he's saying he's hearing that others are doing it all the way to the main, and so that was one of the changes that we were looking at is putting that in place. And it came up because when we find people who are putting things in the system that they shouldn't, in some of the older homes, we don't have a clean out. And so therefore we wanted that clean out to be able to be put in at the responsibility and cost of the homeowner.
Where would you put that clean out?
Again, that's part of the reason we're not going to vote on it tonight, because that was the same kind of question that Caleb asked. So we have some work to do to go through that. The other thing that came up was, if they go all the way to the main, then they're going to at times be going into the road, and so we have to have some rules around what that would look like. And if your opinion is we shouldn't do that, we're happy to hear.
You wouldn't be the first. You see it both ways. I wouldn't know what the breakdown is.
Okay.
I've seen both. The question with water, it's at the meter, which is usually at the property line-ish. And so that way there's a clear definition of this is our property and our service. This is your property and your service.
Yeah.
The sewer main, you don't have that.
Yeah.
And some of the water lines too, I know some of the shutoffs are.
Yeah, exactly. They're
Just
where
depends
they
on
get
where.
stuck.
Yeah, exactly.
But the downside would be is now they own something under your road. And if they needed to repair it, what hammer do you have? What administrative tools do you have to control them fixing their pipe?
Yeah.
Versus just like you're saying though, is if you don't have a good spot, if you had a clean out, I think I would prefer them. They own upstream to clean out, you own downstream to clean out, just like water main. That way you own what's on your property, they own what's on theirs. Without that clean out, not here.
So would you argue that we would that the clean out would need to be on their part of the lateral? And then we own everything from the clean out.
I think you'd want it as close to your property, if not on the property line as you could, just so they would own most of the line.
Yeah.
But geography may not allow that at times. And like I said, I don't know what percentage of them even exist here, probably less than half. I don't know.
Well, it brings up the second question, and that was, as we got talking about it, we started thinking, well, all new homes, standard practices, they're putting clean outs in right now, but our code doesn't reflect that. And so that's one of the changes that we're making.
Yeah.
And then the other is that they need to put in a ejector pump if they're
Having sewer services in a basement.
having things
Yes.
in the basement. So I think the way we rewrote it, Michael, is it was saying that on everybody needed to have the ejector pumps, but I think we need to rewrite it to say only if there's service in the basement.
Correct. Yeah, that
Okay.
wasn't in the initial
Yeah, we
draft.
need to make that one adjustment.
Right.
And I just think that was a communication error in our
Have
part.
you looked at some other similar ordinances?
We have not at this point. But again, that's the standard practice. Again, when people have a basement or a sewer in their basement, or a toilet or a shower or whatever, they're putting in the ejector pumps anyway. It's just our code doesn't reflect that. So we're just trying to correct that.
You're right, and there's wordsmiths that can nuance this. One of the things you sometimes see is that you'll come into the house buried at 4 feet. If your basement can drain at 4 feet, fine. More like that, that's going to make them have to pump it. But it's not saying if you have a basement, you have to pump. Someone may have a basement that's shallow or on a high ground. You just say, we're coming in at 4 feet. If you don't have to pump, don't pump, but nobody's basement's 4 feet.
I guess my thought would be, and you guys can push back if you disagree, is that we go ahead and make it that they need the ejector pump. And if they want a variance, if they come in and say, look, mine's going to drain anyway, we can always grant them a variance to not have it, right?
That would be the variance procedure. Yeah, would they be varying from the code?
So it's all semantics.
Okay.
Your intent is absolutely right. It protects you from the backups. Like I think GPSD has and the city of Peoria have some really good language with that. You know, when we design these things, we know that that's coming out of the house at 4 feet, and if there's a basement, we've got a pump to get there.
Do you know of any communities? I'm sorry.
I was saying most basements, even newer basements that still have floor drains in them, they still need to inject that water somewhere.
And you shouldn't put it in your sewer.
Exactly, because we've had that problem in the past, working with Jim on quite a few of the cross connections where people were just pumping their sump pumps and everything right into the sewer,
Or it's going into a tile and
right,
making it there.
yeah, unfortunately.
Have you heard of any communities who go and make people retrofit and put clean outs in the older? Or is that overkill?
Normally they're grandfathered.
Well, one part of when we get into CSOs and some way back 15 years ago when our pump stations were failing, the EPA was hollering at us. You're required to include a program for reduction of I&I to reduce the infiltration and the other I. And so Jim went around and looked at that, and absolutely, you have a hammer to say you can't put that in our system. I don't know if it's grandfathered in, Michael. That might be.
Yeah, that's a good question.
You're not allowed to put non-sewer stuff in there.
Yeah,
I'm not saying non-sewer stuff. I'm not. I wasn't going there.
Our
I'm just
stuff
saying,
covers that. Our
Okay.
code covers that. What I'm saying is, and again, nobody throw anything at me. I'm just asking questions. But could we go to existing homeowners that don't have cleanouts and say, we need you to put a cleanout in? And
Cleanout.
Yeah. I mean, again, that might be overkill because we probably have a handful of violators and most people are doing it fine.
From a technical perspective, I don't know why technically you couldn't. Speaking out of turn, I might suggest a program where you split the cost, allocate $10,000 a year and first come, first served, and that way incentivize instead of require.
Yeah.
or then also it could be that if you're a violator of this, then we will require to.
That's really what we'd like
to continue
is
service.
if we find people who are, and we have some examples of that.
Yes.
And so what we'd like to do is go back and say, you need to put out a clean out. But the thinking was, or Jim's thinking was, I think that if they put it in, they would own everything to the main, including the cleanout. But you're saying,
They could. I don't know if your ordinance is written. That's why maybe the whole
oh
point
no,
is
it's not. It
that's the
doesn't say
whole
that today.
Yeah,
Today
see,
it's property
You
line.
see, some of our right of ways are in the road, I believe, in some of the smaller streets.
The roads are in what do you mean?
The right of ways, where the sewer connector is, because the sewer is under. So Jim was talking like where it tees to our main.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those are, like in the middle of the road.
Right.
So
And that's my fear is now they own the pipe under your road.
exactly.
If and most of your sewers are in your roads. So that would be one reason not to have them own that. But I can see his point that if you're going to require them to put a clean out, I just think it would be safer to own what's in your right of way.
Okay.
But I could see the other way around. I would be curious to know what Jim thinks the advantages are.
So we're gonna hold off on this then.
Yeah, we weren't going to vote on it, given all the discussion that we had. So,
But ultimately, it's a very good thing to do. These things that you're thinking about to kind of clean things up a little bit, give yourself the ability to manage these resources, especially as things age.
okay.
Anything else under sewer?
No, sir.
Streets and alleys, Ryan, I don't think you had anything, did you, sir?
I don't think so. No.
Decent planning. I forgot to count all the incidents. So, table the reports until next meeting. So that brings us down to water.
Yes, sir. Had a total of 6 checks from escrow refunds for a total of $490. That is it for me. Reverse this time. Usually water has more.
Yeah, great discussion.
Right. No, that is not it for me.
Let's say you saw one thing.
Yes, we've got the rate increase coming up, but also wanted to entertain discussion on if we wanted to increase that at this time. Brian has more information on that.
So if you look 6 months year to date, fiscal year to date, we're about our income on water only. Our income is about 10% lower than our expenses. So said differently, if we wanted to be fully covering all of our water expenses, our water rate would need to be 10% higher as it sits through the first 6 months. But if you factor in sewer and if you factor in sewage treatment, we're almost 19% ahead, right? If you take water, sewer, and the sewage treatment together, we're about 19% ahead for all 3 of those utilities. I would temper that a little bit because the property tax doesn't come in, and I don't think we have major property tax coming in so far. So in some of those cases, for the sewage treatment facility and sewer, some of the property tax income is already in, but the expenses will continue for the next 6 months. So I think that gap's going to close some. But my point is that I believe when we get to the end of the fiscal year, if you take water, sewer, and the sewage treatment facility together, we're going to be break even or better for all of them combined. If you remember last year, we did the catch up with Illinois American. We increased the water rates by almost 22%, something like that. And in the ordinance, we also put that every year we would increase 2.7%, which has been the average Illinois American increase for the last however many, 8 years or so. So if we do nothing but talk tonight, that 2.7% increase is what we'll put in place beginning in January, and I'll begin having Christy and and Tracy began the process of processing that and getting it into Locus, where the water rates will go up 2.7% in January. The information that we wish we had that we don't have at this point is we've got the nonprofit group working on our water rates and sewer rates and telling us whether or not they're right. I followed up with them again. It's free, but it takes a long time, so we still don't have that data. So that data is coming. We really don't.
Close. It's just not here yet.
They keep telling us it's close. Yeah. I've got Tracy and Christy working on, is there a rhyme and rhythm to when the water rates go up and by how much, so that we can see when that usually happens. Jim seems to think it's kind of all over the place, but we're going to see if we can't track that down and see if we have more information on when and how much that's going to be.
From Illinois American.
I'm sorry, is that what from Illinois American. So that would be another data point that we would have. I assume there's nothing preventing us from raising water rates in May if we want to. It doesn't have to be in January, right?
What did our ordinance say?
Unless modified by a vote of corporate authorities, the minimum charge shall increase by 2.7% on January 1 each year, beginning January 1, 2022.
I understand, but that would not prevent us from in May increasing it again, would it?
No,
We would have to do an amendment to that.
either amend it or possibly even repeal this one, and then just replace it with a new ordinance.
Okay, I'm not sure I would want to do that because I like the fact that we've got the annual thing in there. I guess what we're looking for is some direction. Are we happy with the 2.7%? Let it ride because we think sewer and the sewage treatment facility is going to cover what we're losing on water, and let's get some more data points in and make a different decision in 2023. Or if we find ourselves in a huge hole next year, like you said, we can always do some things to make an increase in the water rate at that time.
I guess if it gets out of hand, we could entertain the idea of a new ordinance or appealing the other one. But
We can keep that same language in there saying, we're doing this one on this date, then effective, January 1 of every year, then the rate would be as the board does see fit to raise it to.
So this would just be in addition to the 2.7 we are doing.
Correct.
Right.
So
And I guess there's a fundamental question. Do we want every utility to carry its own water, right?
Per se.
And if that's the case, then are we overpriced on some of the other utilities? And so do those need to be adjusted? All good questions. I don't think at this point, I don't think there's any emergency. I don't think, unless something crazy happened and the water leak went nuts or something. I mean, we're not, what would I say that was that 10% on water was like $13,000 or something like that. So it's not, and we're covering it in the other areas. So I'm not trying to, fire off an emergency alarm or anything. It's just asking some fundamental questions of
and the good thing is even though we're still dealing with the rates and the water loss and stuff like that we've dealt with in the past, we're not hemorrhaging as much as we could be. Some communities, have issues with this where they're raising, their water rates, yearly, and it's, 10% is a very small amount that they're raising. Because I still think, as far as when Fred and I looked at the water rates the last time, when Fred was still in office 6 months ago, that, our water rates were still one of the cheapest ones in the area.
And they residential
for residential water. I can't remember what Washington's was. I think it was. I think they pay almost $60 just for water alone, and they have a very small minimum. I think it's less than ours for their residential water. So that's basically our entire bill: water, sewer, and garbage. So
I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I think what I'm sensing is stick with the 2.7%, implement that, get the other data points in, if we need to react later next year and do something, we can. If not, we wait till 2023 and do something different then.
Yeah, let's see where we're at towards the end of fiscal, and if we need to readjust then.
That's my thoughts.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, I believe that is it for me, sir.
That is it for water. Okay. Buildings grounds.
All right, it has been brought to my attention that some residents are asking about leaf disposal, and I've been corresponding with Brian about some of our options for that. According to our current agreement with the garbage company, they do not collect landscape waste, which includes leaves. But the contract is up next year, I believe, and so we could see about renegotiating that if that's something we wanted to do. Brian also mentioned the possibility of buying a leaf pickup tool. This little thing that sucks up all the leaves, and we could work with a local company that makes mulch, and he said it would cost about $5,000. Now what would that $5,000 be comprised of?
So it's basically, my understanding is it's still manual, but it's like an industrial leaf vacuum or debris vacuum that you can connect to the back of the dump truck. And still, somebody would need to be out there, sucking up the leaves, but it would spit it up into the back of the dump truck, and then they could take that to Good Earth or take it out to the lagoon and burn it or something. So we wouldn't necessarily have to increase the cost to do that. The other benefit to that tool would be when they go and clean out the storm sewers and those types of things, that they could use it there as well. So it would have dual benefit. So, just the way of background, we got calls and emails and phone pictures of people sending stuff in saying somebody just raked all their leaves out into the middle of the road and left them. So-and-so's, not burning them right. And somebody took them and I saw them dump them out on 116. And so to Zach's point, I think we have multiple options. One is we can do nothing but just better educate the community on what they can do and what they can't do. And Tracy started to do that with the burning. And we're going to be more proactive on that. We could put in place and pass the cost off to the residents that there would be a landscape waste pickup. I think he told me, I think he sent you, it was like $2,000 a truck for every truck that they would need to fill. So it was fairly expensive. And then the middle option was to, during leaf season, people can rake them out. Other communities do this. They rake them out to the end of their yard, and then those guys would come by and suck them up and then take the truck and drop them off at Good Earth or something like that. So that's kind of the range of, I think, options that are available to us.
With that would be our tool and our guys doing that, right?
Correct. That would be our tool and our guys doing that. Yeah. Okay. And like I said, I don't have a dog in the hunt. You all can tell us what you think that you want us to do. The guys are excited about the new tool because then they can do the storage, storm sewer stuff, clean up easier and so forth. But that's not a reason to do it other than, I guess the question is, as residents, what do you think is the best option?
Well, but there's nothing against in the ordinance right now allowing people to burn leaves.
I mean, that's really the only option you have, right? Is rake them up and burn them, or take them to the.
You can take them to the landfill yourself. Because I know I burn mine every year.
I have no idea there's any. We just always burn them all the way in the back.
You're supposed to have water accessible in case it should spread. Yeah. So, fire extinguisher or a hose available nearby in case it does spread. I think that's
so far away from the structure.
Right.
Now, I'm just going to throw this out here because I've always thought, because like branches or things like that also, Farmington has a burn pile that their city workers use. Is there a location that people could drop the leaves off, like in the bags, and then you guys could suck them up like that?
I mean, anything's possible.
And I mean, and they could drop their branches and things like that. And if you guys are going to have a burn pile, or if you're going to, or if it's just leaves, I mean, still people break them up themselves, but they don't have a place to take them.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I think the lowest, or not the, I don't know what the right word is, the base option is just when it comes leaf season next year, we do a lot of promoting of you either need to break them up and take them to landfill, or you need to burn them, and here's the rules, right? And that we would just be more proactive about that. And that doesn't cost us anything, doesn't change anything. We don't have to do anything. The other option is to, on the other end of the spectrum, is to get an agreement with our waste disposal company and put that in place to where they get picked up and that cost gets passed off to the resident.
Or a third option would be if we do get this tool.
And then the third option is, and it's going to create work for our guys, so there is cost there. But Roger
It seems like it would be quite a bit of work, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because not everybody's going to want to.
We have one of those, and it's probably not up to the grade of the one that we would get, but it takes forever to do.
Yeah.
I've seen somebody around here had one that was attached to a vehicle.
Yeah, he said
John,
Roger got the idea from Princeville. I guess Princeville does it, or Brentsville.
I don't know
or
I don't know if John Myers has one or not.
I've seen somebody using one, but
again,
I don't know. That seems like it would be every day. These guys are on another street going down.
Yeah, what they were talking about is like on Tuesdays, these streets would do it. On Thursdays, these streets would do it. And so every week for a period of time, they'd have to be out there doing it. But again,
but it's like somebody for like on Farmington Road, that's not feasible for you to sit there and pick them up at the road.
I understand.
Plus the wind going through there, they're not going to stay there. That's why I said, if you guys want to do this, have them bag it up or dump it, put it in the back of their vehicle truck and have it dumped in a spot. And then your guys only have to go to that one spot and suck up leaves.
Yeah. Or burn them.
I mean, yeah. If they want this, the point I'm making, either way, the leaf thing, something that gets done with it, I think would be a benefit to the whole community. Because people do get frustrated because there is no place to take their leaves. So burning does happen, and then you have all this online fighting. I'd like my windows open,
I do too, but when I'm burning,
I'm like, when I have time is when I do it. No, I'm sorry that it's
and normally
a nice
I never burn leaves until
I'm
after.
sorry, it's not okay.
It's after we close the pool up anyway at the end of the year,
Yeah.
because then I end up with ash in the pool. So,
Yeah.
Do we have a general burn pile that we?
No, we do.
Mm-mm.
And the only place I could think would be the lagoon would be our only option. And I'd have to ask the guys how they felt about that. I don't think we want people driving in and out of there.
No. Because too much of a liability for them driving into the lagoon. Or
My concern about that would be, how do you start regulating what's getting put into the bags?
That's my thing. I mean,
because I could
People will
put,
dump
I could put
everything
shingles
they
in
can.
my bags if I wanted to.
What?
I had an extra bag of garbage that didn't fit in my can. I just threw it in there.
right, no one will know, right?
Right.
And there's 19.
Ryan, how much did you say it would cost if we went with the disposal company route?
Well, I think it was like $2,000 a truckload or whatever. I think they bring big dumpsters and people can like put them in the dumpsters and then they pick them up and take them away. The thing is, I have no idea of knowing how many
How many
dumpsters,
truckloads.
you know what I mean? How many truckloads it's going to be, but $2,000 a piece that sounds like a
Okay, well,
chunk of money.
one time in my yard, I can use 15 bags, and that's just once, and I'd have to clean 3 or 4 times. So that would be quite a bit just for one person.
Yeah, if it was like 3 truckloads a season, over time that builds up to just a one-time purchase of like $5,000 tool.
Yeah.
So,
But there again, the other option is we do nothing. We tell people,
Yeah,
do
I mean, you
Oh,
can wait
those.
until the garbage contract's up, and
Yeah, because it's not like there's a lot of people. It's not like if we get the tool now, we're going to be able to go suck up leaves this year.
No,
anyways,
but-
because by the time that happens, it's going to be snow.
Do you know when the contract comes up?
I think it's September.
next year. I thought it was October.
October
I can tell you.
2022 October.
To October.
Yeah.
I got the contract.
October.
It's like
Doesn't leave a
October
whole lot of
19th or
time.
something.
Now, this tool that they would like, I mean, how much time would that save them actually doing their job? Because I know it's pretty tedious cleaning curbing, gut, and sewer. You guys clean the curb on the streets?
Yeah, and they their big thing is like the in the storm sewers, they have to keep all that debris out of there, and so they were excited about the possibility of going down there and just sucking all that up, and making that happen faster.
Now, does that machine take into account the bottles and the cans
I don't know.
that end up in the storm sewer?
I think it's mostly just around the grates and stuff is what they're talking about.
Because they get the leaves and the plastic and the garbage floating around, litter, things like that, and they just suck
But
it
again,
out.
I think that's a side benefit. I don't think that's a reason to buy the tool, right? At the end of the day, they just said that was a side benefit. So,
Okay.
and like I said, I don't have strong feelings. I don't know that they necessarily have strong feelings. I do know that they get frustrated because we get the people who take the pictures of somebody raking everything into the middle of the road, and they have to go talk to the people about, we go talk to the people about not doing that. But again, part of that's maybe on us if we communicated better what you're supposed to do.
Well, is the homeowner supposed to clean the curb?
No, we're not talking curb. We're just talking they take all their leaves and rake them in the road.
Like they're I mean, they literally
They're
took their
putting them out.
piles
Yeah, they took
in
their
the
leaves
road.
from their yard, and their yard
Okay.
was clean
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
whistle, but right down the middle of the road was a
Big piles all.
just a
And
big,
the-
long, quarter-mile stretch of leaves.
Like that's not going to go right back into their yard.
That's
Yeah,
a lot
I
of
mean,
effort.
I didn't think you could do that legally.
Well, that's
You're
the
not
point.
supposed to.
You can't.
Yeah.
Not that I want to keep saying let's wait and see, but I would say obviously we're not going to be able to do it this year. We may as well
Right.
wait and see if we can do anything with the contract next year, and in the meantime figure out what we can do to. Now that we've got this fancy Facebook page, we can utilize that to educate.
Do a poll.
Stop
And
putting
see,
leaves
yeah,
in the
because
road.
it's. I mean, it would.
Well, somebody's friend had told me at one time, you guys, somebody, maybe Rod or somebody would remember this, but they had looked at putting it as part of the waste disposal contract, but the residents weren't too excited about the
Right,
additional,
Cost.
cost associated.
That would be my. Yeah, that'd be
Very
my.
few people that,
Yeah.
wanted-
I'm sorry, Rod, we couldn't hear you.
I said there was very few people that wanted to pay extra to sign up for the.
Yeah.
Picking up the leaves and stuff like that.
Yeah, because even if we get the tool, I mean, there is the additional cost that that we're going to be billing. Not just for the tool, but then for the man hours that we can't just say, oh yeah, we can do it. Forget about those hours. We still got to bill those hours somewhere, like any job. So.
Well, and I give the guys credit because they're trying to do something to help the residents. And
Oh, yeah.
But at the end of the day, like I said, better communication and might be the place to start and see.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Got it.
Any further discussion?
No.
Okay. On rails and trails.
Okay, so in your packet, you've got a engagement letter from Elias, McGinnis, and Spaghetti. Basically, what this says is it spells out the scope of work that they're going to do for us as we go into the rails and trails. Two thoughts. One, we don't know yet. We're trying to determine if the grant money, if we can use the grant money for, I guess this is basically kind of closing cost work. So can we use the grant money for that? And then the second thing I would tell you is even if we can't use the grant money, it would be our intention to use the money that we've already set aside for the trail, not just the purchase of it, but we've got more money even. We can do the purchase, and I think we can cover some of this if we have to. So it's not necessarily going to come out of the operating budget. But all this does is it just says we are engaging this company under these terms, and this is the scope of work that they're going to do for us. That scope of work is basically helping us work through the process of getting the grant, putting together the purchase agreement with the railroad, and then helping us build the governance structure for the commission that would manage the trail property after it's purchased. And then once all that's done, they would be out of. We would not have to do anything more with them at that point. The commission may want to, and that commission would be fed with dollars from Peoria County, Farmington, and Hannah City moving forward. We would not have those legal costs moving forward with them. So basically, we've already engaged them. We're already doing work with them. I actually have a bill from them, and they knew that that was going to be the case, and that there was risk that we might come here and not do it. But we need to formalize our engagement with this attorney so that we can move forward on the trail.
So I entertain a motion to authorize me to sign the agreement with, you have to say this,
Elias, McGinnis, and Seghetti.
thank you very much, for the Village of Hannah City to, so they can be our legal counsel on the Rails to Trails project.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Sidak, second by Pearson. Any further discussion?
No idea.
Whose the turn is it, do you know?
Oh,
Rod, I think.
Last vote was started by Pearson, so it's run.
Yep. So we'll roll call it. Weaver?
Yes.
Sidak?
Yes.
Pearson?
Yes.
Motion carried.
You signed it.
Already done.
Thank you, sir.
Next discussion is staff year-end bonuses. And we have done this for the last I can remember, actually. Brandon, just on a side note, Brandon, I don't think we need anything else from you, so if you want to go ahead.
And I didn't mean to.
No.
Sometimes you go into executive, then I got it.
Yeah. No, you don't need anything
You're
else.
good. All right.
Thanks, go ahead and let you go, Brandon. Sorry.
you.
I should have done that after the
No,
water.
I appreciate listening to discussion. It's good to see everybody. Hope you enjoy your holiday season. I don't see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So yeah, so staff year-end bonuses, last numerous years I can remember, we've done 75 for part-time employees. That's up to 37 hours is considered part-time by village standard, and then full-time employees do a $150 bonus. So actually I got a motion before we can talk about it, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So do I have a motion to approve?
Authorize bonus expenditures.
Bonus expenditures?
So move.
Second.
Motion by Pearson, second by Sidak. No. So yeah, so we've done this for the last numerous years, and we haven't increased those, and it's been quite a while. So basically, Jim, Tom, Roger, Tracy.
So there's 4 full-time.
Yep.
So that'd be 600 for them, and then
3
1,
part-times,
2, 3 part-time.
225,
So 825.
825. So, with the staff that we have, they've always been very appeasing. To if we need something, this just gives us a little something to give to them at the end of the year. We're not, hurting for funds, thank goodness. We're not hemorrhaging any major debt. We've stayed in the black for as long as I can remember. So this is just a good thing to be able to offer our employees. So in this, we'll go ahead and do roll calls.
Are we firm on those amounts? What was it 150 full time?
Full-time and $75 for part-time.
Okay, yeah. As long as that's what the vote is on, then yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, any further discussion? No? Okay. So roll call at SIDAC?
Yes.
Pearson?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Motion carried. Oh, there's one. Something that I'll do it here. Brian, go ahead and talk about the.
So the Park District is working with some local businesses with the possibility of doing what they're calling a Holly Walk. I think they're looking at the 19th. What is the 19th? A Sunday? It's pretty low key. There's nothing that would impact us as the village. Nothing we would need to do for them. I just told them that I would give you guys the heads up. It's a pretty simple thing. They're wanting to do a walk from, people could walk from like the coffee can to the Sportsman's Club to warehouse to Gills to a number of businesses, and maybe stop at the churches and other places, but they'd have several stops. And the idea would be is at each of those stops that there might be food, drink, and then some sort of game, or you pick up a card or whatever, and then you wind up at the final place. There'd be carolers at the final place. There'd be an award given to whoever won the game, that kind of stuff. So they're working on it. I know it's short notice, but they're doing some planning and so forth. I don't think there's nothing that we have to do or vote on or approve or any of those types of things. They just wanted me to make you guys aware that that was something that they were looking at doing potentially on the 19th. So, nice. There you go.
I almost forgot about one thing. I contacted the Bank of Farmington. Currently, right now, we have nobody who is authorized to do any business with Bank of Farmington. So, for record, you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I, the village president, Anthony Frixell, I authorize myself, Anthony Frixell, the village president, Tracy Foster.
No.
No.
Oh,
Hey, I'm losing it tonight.
fine.
are you doing Tracy or Christy?
Christy.
Okay.
Christy Foster, village treasurer. Caleb Johnson as finance chair to be added to all accounts with the Bank of Farmington. You caught up.
I can keep going.
Need to remove Lori Braden from any account or all accounts at the Bank of Farmington. Need to remove Fred Winteroff from any accounts at the Bank of Farmington. And need to remove Deanna Hoopengarner from any accounts at the Bank of Farmington.
Okay.
I had to have that on record for the minutes so that we can get that to them so that we can have authorized people to go in and work on those accounts. So, I did reach out to one other village resident to see if she would be interested in maybe doing the finance chair. She has my number and everything, and I'm waiting for her to call me back so I can talk to her a little more in detail, exactly what the position requires a board member. She has been a resident of Hannah City for quite a few years, so she already meets the residence requirement of being here at least a year, so that's not an issue. So we're still looking for one other committee member. So if anybody knows somebody, they can always point them this way. We can talk to them. If we get the good, warm, and fuzzy, and think they'll do a good job for the village, then we can point them to position too.
And which position is that?
To be determined.
We're talking about maybe doing some restructuring.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, so, just trying to figure out where we want to move everybody, if we want to combine some of the stuff, if we want to make, individual. But we're just trying to get back to our full 6 officials. So, our next meeting is December 21st. Come hungry. I'm going to try to, I'm going to make some meatballs, personally. Some Italian.
So are we doing potluck? Is that what?
I am making the meatballs.
Okay.
You guys, it'll be on the 2 ladies in the office decide what else we want. So
I'll get with Tracy. We can do potluck. I think would be easiest.
yeah,
Or have a meat brought in and people
Right.
bring sides or something.
yeah,
Yeah,
or we
that's
just
a good idea.
get a meat tray and stuff like that. Just so we have something here
Yeah.
for everybody to snack on. And it's, we're trying to talk as it is, so it's not like we're going to be
Right.
eating a lot.
Oh,
Or at least I'll be talking.
I'm
You guys are going to seem bummed.
We don't record that one. Yeah.
I'll
For
be
some reason,
sitting
the
there.
recording's
You
not
sit right
working.
here.
Rod, will you be back for that meeting?
I will.
Okay. So yeah, next board meeting, December 21st. And before we go, Matthew, did you have any questions before we adjourn our meeting this evening? Are you there, Matthew?
Yeah, sorry. I don't think we had any questions. Thanks for letting us listen, though.
Oh, not a problem. You're more than welcome to attend in person too at the Village Hall. So.
I see you signed up for the Village of Hannah City Facebook. I got a notice, Matthew.
All right. Well, welcome to town. Hope you enjoy it. If you see any of the board members or see myself out and about, introduce yourself and welcome to town.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Nothing else. Meeting adjourned.